Yes, Araghchi. He was the essentially the right hand to the foreign minister under President Hassan Rouhani, Javad Zarif, who was the chief negotiator of the JCPOA and the nuclear deal that Donald Trump pulled out of, and essentially has been broken since 2018. Araghchi worked very closely with Zarif. He is known as a strong negotiator, someone who has relationships with Western diplomats. He is a career diplomat himself, and so now he is presumably going to be the next foreign minister. But suffice it to say that he was very much involved in the 2015 nuclear negotiations and what came of it.
Well, if Farzaneh Zadeh is confirmed as Rhodes Minister, she would be only the second Iranian woman to hold a ministerial post.
Yes. The first female minister was the Minister of Health under, believe it or not, the conservative presidency of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. But I will say, Yvonne, that throughout the various administration within the Islamic Republic of Iran, whilst these two women, and again, this new proposed minister contingent on approval. Aside from these two, there have been previous vice presidency positions held by women, including the vice president for environmental affairs, women's affairs, both of whom I interviewed in Iran in 2015, and right now, of course, the sort of Office of Women's and Family Affairs, the head of that has also been appointed a woman. Previously, we've seen female ambassadors appointed, and also there was a time that the spokesperson for the Iran's foreign ministry was a woman as well. But yes, with regards to the ministry, this presumably approved, it will be the second woman.
And Tara, the President's Deputy for Strategic Affairs, Mohammad Javad Zarif, has resigned over the proposed cabinet. Yes. What have been some of the criticisms?
Yes, Yvonne, important point you mentioned. And I want your viewers to understand that even though the next foreign minister of the country would be someone that is known as a negotiator with the West and someone who's open to engagement, and also, we're seeing this female minister, when you speak with people in Iran, so many folks have told me that, we did not expect this. This is one of the worst selections that we've seen, and really did not at all see this come from someone like Pezeshkian, who really ran on the promise of reform and change. And the people that you're seeing in this proposed list of ministers are a mix of ministers within the Rouhani administration and the previous Raisi administration. You have a lot of conservative figures in this proposed list. You have a lot of folks within the IRGC apparatus. If you look at some of the most important ministries, which are the intelligence and interior, these are people that are super close to the supreme leader. And even the foreign ministry, let's remember that whoever takes the helm and the lead in this ministry has to be approved by the supreme leaders. So let's make no mistake that, a sort of reformist figure or a woman are signals and signs of any profound change. But if you look deeper and closely to the candidates, you can see that these are people extremely connected and close to the supreme leader and the more conservative establishment.
And what difference will this new government make in terms of ties with other countries in the region and also Iran's involvement with conflicts in the region?
That's a big question, but I think for the Islamic regime, the primary goal is its stability and longevity. because the regime knows and understands that the people, the majority of ordinary Iranians, are unhappy with the system. So as much as it can, it would avoid full-blown conflicts or anything that would further destabilize its roots and stability. And I know so many of us journalists and Middle East watchers and really ordinary people living in the region are watching and expecting, of Iran's retaliation against Israel based on the events that we saw last year and the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Iran. So everyone's holding their breath. But what I can say is that Iran's behavior in the region and in the Middle East will be to preserve its own interests and not the interest of people. And so long as it does that, it will continue pursuing policies that would help it continue to do so.
So, Tara, what happens next then? When will these positions be confirmed? Do you think all of them will be approved?
To be honest with you, based on what we're seeing, the fact that so many of these folks are from the previous administration of Raisi, and so many of them with ties to the conservative sort of apparatus, most likely there will be. I think your viewers might find this very interesting, that one of the ministers, actually, Minister of sort of Technology, and communication. He's actually an Australian-educated PhD engineer, computer science. Another person that stood out to me was Hemmati. He was a former chief of Iran's central bank. He was the only sort of reformist, moderate figure who was running against Raisi 4 years ago, and he is set to be the Minister of Finance. So there's some figures in the mix that want to project that view of reform. But given the fact that so many of these folks come from these deeply rooted conservative and establishment clouds, I think most of them would probably be approved. Oh, yes. And by the way, sorry, you mentioned former Foreign Minister Zarif's resignation from this advisory committee. And I think that's quite telling, by the way. That's quite telling that, he's probably unhappy with the sort of infightings that we're beginning to see, and he wants to separate himself. But he's also known as someone who, joins something but also steps aside. So we have to wait and see, but I think everyone's watching Iran's next move in the region in particular.
Indeed. Tara Kangarlou, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate talking to you.
Thank you, Yvonne.